You ever feel like you're dealing with a problem that's completely new? Something nobody's ever faced before? Well, what if I told you that some of our biggest, most modern challenges, like how to deal with overwhelming power, or even just knowing when to keep your mouth shut, aren't new at all? And the answers? They might just be hiding in stories that are thousands of years old. Just think about that for a second. When you're up against something or someone that feels absolutely unbeatable, what's your first move? Where do you even begin? Well, for the next few minutes, we're going to dive into one of the world's oldest collections stories, the Panchatantra. And listen, these are not just simple bedtime stories with talking animals. They're actually a brilliant toolkit for strategy, for psychology, for figuring out how to navigate some really complex situations. So our first lesson gets right into a classic conflict, one that we see play out all the time, everywhere from the office to world events, that eternal struggle between raw power and sharp thinking. Okay, so picture this. There's a forest, and it's basically living under the thumb of this ferocious, super arrogant lion. And to stop him from just hunting everyone into extinction, the animals make this awful deal. They agree to send one of their own to be his dinner every single day. It's a total reign of terror, built on nothing but fear and brute strength. So the days go by, and the forest community keeps getting smaller. Then, the lot falls to the most unlikely creature you could imagine to go face the king of the forest. A little, seemingly helpless rabbit. I mean, the odds could not be more stacked against him. So on one side, you have the lion, who has all the physical power, the authority, the pure dominance. And on the other side, you have the rabbit, with nothing but his mind. It seems like a total mismatch, right? But this is what the Panchatantra does so well. It loves to flip our expectations upside down. No, seriously, what's the play here? A straight-up fight is obviously out. Begging for mercy? That's probably not going to work on a tyrant. The rabbit has to think way outside the box and use the lion's own personality against him. The rabbit's plan is just a masterclass in psychological warfare. Let's break it down because it's genius. First, he purposely shows up late, knowing the lion's going to be starving and furious. Then, he spins this incredible story about a rival, another, even stronger lion, who says he's the true king. See, the rabbit gets that the lion's biggest weakness is his pride. He then offers to show the enraged lion where this imposter is hiding and leads him right to a deep well. So the lion looks over the edge, and down in the water, he sees his own angry reflection staring back. But he's so blinded by rage and arrogance, he doesn't think twice. He lets out this huge roar and jumps into the well to destroy this rival. And that's the end of him. The rabbit didn't need big claws or teeth. He used psychology. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? The moral is crystal clear. Your brain is a force multiplier. The rabbit knew that the lion's pride was a much bigger and way more vulnerable target than his actual body. Okay, so let's move on to our next story. We've seen the power of a clever mind, but what about the danger of an unguarded tongue? This next fable dives into a flaw that feels, well, incredibly relevant today. So in this tale, our main character is a tortoise who basically has a talking problem. I mean, the original text says he has a disease of talking. He just can't keep quiet. So when his pond starts to dry up, his two best friends, a couple of geese, come up with this amazing plan to save him. The plan is simple, it's elegant, and it's all about teamwork. The geese will each grab one end of a stick, and the tortoise will bite down hard on the middle. Then they can just fly him to a new, better pond. But there's one massive, non-negotiable rule. For this to work, the tortoise has to keep his mouth shut, no matter what. And they're off. The journey starts, and it's working perfectly. But then, as they fly over a village, people on the ground look up. They start pointing, shouting, laughing at this completely bizarre sight, a tortoise flying through the air. For our talkative tortoise, this is the ultimate test of self-control. And his vanity just gets the best of him. He has to have the last word. He needs to shout back some clever comeback to the people down below, forgetting the one single rule that was literally keeping him alive. He opens his mouth, and in that one instant, it's all over. And this just brilliantly sums it up. It's not just about talking too much, is it? It's about that lack of discipline, that desperate need for validation, that inability to just let things go. I mean, think about every pointless argument you've ever seen on social media, or any public figure who's ruined their career with one impulsive comment. This lesson Feels like it was written yesterday.
So, what can we really learn from a clever rabbit and a foolish tortoise? Well, they're not just characters in a story. They represent two fundamentally different ways of tackling life's problems.
Let's just break it down and put them side by side. The rabbit used his mind. He was strategic. He looked at his opponent, the arrogant boss, the dominant competitor, found their weakness and made a plan. The result? Victory. The tortoise, on the other hand, was driven by his ego, by impulse. His main tool was his pride. And the result was, well, a pretty big fall. And this is exactly why these ancient stories still matter so much. We see these two paths play out every single day. The path of strategic thinking and self-control, and the path of just reacting to everything. In a world that is constantly begging us for a reaction, knowing when to act versus when to just stay silent isn't just a skill, it's a superpower. Stories like these have survived for thousands of years for a reason. They contain these fundamental truths about power, about human nature, and about strategy. It kind of makes you wonder, what other powerful lessons are just sitting there, waiting for us to rediscover them? The Panchatantra is just one collection. Every single culture on Earth has its own fables and myths that are packed with this kind of concentrated wisdom. So the final question really isn't just about these stories, but about all the others we might have left behind. What crucial survival tools are we overlooking simply because they seem old? Now that's something worth thinking about.